Welcome back to Maryland Today. My name is Jeff St. Pierre, and joining me this morning to give some tips for people thinking of buying a home is one of my favorite people, Deanna Booker from the local nonprofit Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Maryland and Delaware. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this time of year, springtime, the grass gets greener, and many people start thinking about fresh starts. And one of those things that people think is a fresh start is maybe buying a home for the first time. Deanna, what advice do you have for these brave souls?
Yeah, well, buying that first home, it's one of the largest, most complicated investments you'll ever make and processes you'll ever go through. So my advice would be really just to learn as much as you possibly can before you find the home that you want to buy. It really is an exciting process, but there's so many decisions, so many things to understand, and you're going to be making decisions that really could have an impact on your life for years to come. So the best advice, I think, is to get fully informed.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is under the impression that buying a home is an easy process. It certainly is a complex process. A lot of things go into that. What types of advice and education are out there for first-time buyers?
What's out there? Well, there's all kinds of things out there, but really what folks need to be looking for is reputable HUD-approved nonprofit agencies like Consumer Credit Counseling of Maryland and Delaware who are offering low-cost pre-purchase education and counseling. Our homebuyer group pre-purchase workshops are HUD certified. They meet the requirements for FHA loans and other organizations, so it's not just the FHA. Homebuyers really are going to benefit, from this course. It's personalized counseling. They're going to receive one-on-one kind of advice and education and sort of hand-holding from HUD certified counselors. So that reputation, of being a HUD certified agency is what consumers should be looking for.
I know we've talked about it before when I've had you in here, but just in case there's somebody listening who might not be familiar with what HUD is, can you just tell me really quick what that is?
HUD is the Department of Housing and Urban Development. That's what that stands for.
Okay, great. So why is it so important then to get education or advice from someone at a HUD-approved agency?
It really is because when you request counseling or education from a HUD-approved agency, you know that you're getting, again, knowledgeable folks who are giving you reliable advice. They're certified counselors. And the thing about it is HUD regulates and monitors the housing counseling agencies that it approves, and it doesn't approve everybody. Again, if you're dealing with a HUD-approved agency, you know that they've been vetted, for lack of a better term. HUD-certified counselors have to go through rigorous training, all sorts of programs and education before they're certified. They have to keep that certification. They're required to renew it. So again, it's just about being confident that the folks you're dealing with are certified and trained.
So what do first-time homebuyers learn through this type of education and counseling?
Oh, my goodness. It's so much. During the workshop, first-time homebuyers are going to learn how to obtain and privately review their credit report, which I think is one of the biggest steps, one of the most important steps, finding out their credit score. They're going to be taught about budgeting and how to reduce expenses, how to maintain the home. They're going to be helped to identify any barriers that might exist, that might affect their ability to buy or own a home. They're going to learn how to deal with credit and debt issues, things that might affect the purchase itself. So there's all kinds of information that really is called into that workshop that folks really are going to benefit from.
When someone's buying a home, there are a lot of things to think about, and it's more than just how many bathrooms are on the first floor.
Right.
What recommendations do you have for local residents that are facing this challenge?
You're absolutely right. It's not enough just to know, like you said, how many bathrooms you want or what neighborhood or what style of home or what's the square footage. That's not enough. You really have to have your personal finances in order before you start. Your financial history, your credit rating, those things are going to affect your ability to qualify for the mortgage. And they're going to influence the rate you receive, how much interest you're going to pay. So before you start looking, you've got to take some time. You've got to evaluate really where you are, where you stand financially, again, to be able to get to the end game, which is being able to qualify for the mortgage.
All right. So how do you make this assessment about yourself?
You just got to start, like we always talk about when I'm here, reviewing your financial situation. So taking an inventory, what's my income? What are all my monthly expenses? And you got to think about everything, food, utilities, all the basics that we always talk about, but you want to include everything. So homeowners insurance, what are all these expenses going to be? All these kind of extra things. And another thing, and I think it's something that folks maybe don't pay as much attention to when they're starting, you want to think about how much savings you're going to be able to put down while still, because down payment is huge. Down payment is important. You want to think about how much savings you're going to be able to put down, but still maintain the funds that you need to cover the anticipated expenses. So it's a lot. It's a lot to think about right at the start of the process.
Well, let's talk about mortgage financing here. When it comes to getting that, when it comes to obtaining mortgage financing, how can you prepare for that?
One of the best ways to prepare and to maintain is really to develop and maintain. I've said that word like 4 times now.
It's okay.
Stable employment. It really is important. Your employment history, the stability of your employment history is going to affect how lenders view you. It really, really will. So a lender's looking to see preferably at least 2 years of employment with the same employer or in a related field. So that's a really big thing. One, again, that I think folks really don't think much about, you know, when they're starting this process, especially in this day and time as folks are changing jobs and, you know, that kind of thing. Another big part of it is savings. We talk about savings so much when I'm here, Jeff, but accumulating as much savings as possible is huge. There's so many upfront costs that come with buying a home. Down payment is almost always going to be required, and it can be 20%. 20% of the total cost of the home. It's a lot of money. Closing costs, they can differ from state to state and for first-time buyers, but usually they're going to be somewhere around 2 to anywhere between, 5 or 6 or 7%. So again, a big chunk of money. Moving, settling, all these kinds of costs are going to come up in the process. So accumulating as much savings as you possibly can really is going to be a huge help.
I know that I know the answer to this question before I ask it, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I think it's an important question.
All right.
Does it also make sense to request and review your personal credit report or credit score before you go out there looking for mortgage financing?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I had a feeling you were going to say
that.
Oh,
yeah. You know me so well. It's definitely wise to request your credit report, review it, and you want to do this several weeks, if it's possible, before you apply. This is going to give you time to see about what's in there, to dispute, anything that you might need to dispute. If there are errors in the report, you're going to need to go through that process of getting those investigated and getting them cleared up. All of us, everybody, every U.S. citizen is legally entitled to receive one free credit report every 12 months from each of the 3 major credit reporting agencies. So all folks need to do is go to www.annualcreditreport.com, or if you don't have access to the internet, you can call them at 1-877-730-4104. And you can get the reports. You can either get them right offline or they'll be sent to you if you call. And while you're there, while you're on the internet, while you're at Annual Credit Report, you can also pay for and receive your credit score, your FICO score. And again, just another little cog in the wheel, some more information. So like we said in the beginning, you can be fully informed before you start going through this process.
What else might somebody need?
Another thing, I'm glad you brought that up because I just thought of something. Another thing that folks really need to be paying attention to is their debt to income ratio. Lenders are really going to be considering that as well when they're determining whether or not they want to qualify you for a mortgage at all. And if so, how much? So debt to income ratio is a big part of it too.
Okay, so we've talked about how to prepare for home ownership. Let's take a look at how to shop for that mortgage, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What types of mortgage financing are available for home buyers with limited resources?
Right. FHA and VA loans are 2 of the most popular types of loan programs for first-time home buyers. FHA loans are insured against default by the Federal Housing Administration.